All right. Yeah, appreciate you guys coming in, being here on time. Having your cameras on is even a huge bonus. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And As I said, I just hope that we can give you guys some value tonight, maybe answer some questions, help you take another step in the direction of being able to buy properties for zero down. It's a process. It really is a process. It's a learning process, and then the actual way that the method works is a process as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. But I did want to say, I'm glad you guys are here, and if you stick around to the end, and we're going to keep this on time because we're going to be 40 minutes, and then we're going to be out of here. So if you stick around to the end, I have a special gift to give you guys that will hopefully help you with trying to figure out whether what you have is a stack method deal or not. All right. So we'll save that for the end. Um, let's see what else. Uh, yeah, I think we can go ahead here. I'm just curious, since there's just a few of us in here, if you want to, feel free to either unmute or you can put answers in the chat. I don't mind either way. I like communication during a Zoom. It's good to know you guys are engaged and give us some feedback. You can either like unmute, like I said, or just type in the chat. What is your main role in real estate right now? Are you a buyer, a wholesaler, a funder, an agent? Maybe you work in like title or some other support service. What would be go ahead and type that in the chat. What's your main role in real estate right now?
If I just talk.
Sure, Scott. I
Go
said
for it,
wide
Scott.
open. Appreciate that. Go for it. Yes, tell us about yourself.
It's like talking better and typing. I've been typing all freaking day.
Ah,
Um,
that's awesome.
um, I'm looking at commercial deals, commercial real
Okay.
estate deals, self-storage,
Great.
boat and RV storage. I'm one of the
Okay.
few people in Sub 2 that actually do it.
Mhm.
Um, and because 18,000 people are chasing RV parks, which I'm very happy, and they can all go that direction. Um, so I'm looking at, I'm also a broker here in Southern California. And GC too, but I don't GC that much stuff anymore.
Mhm.
Um, but Just looking at some commercial deals, trying to figure out the stack methods, looking for like a TC that understands it,
Yep.
and especially on the commercial real estate side.
Okay.
And then I don't know if you guys have lenders that you've used in the past that are comfortable with this. I know Pace has somebody, but I don't know if they're comfortable. I know Pace doesn't like self-storage, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for.
Great. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Appreciate that input. We've got Austin said he's a developer looking to acquire properties with no money down. That's great. Love that. Um, Manish, good to see you in here, man. How are you? Yeah, Manish is
Good to see you too
good to
as
see you
well. Hey,
too. He's
Marcella, how
come
are
out
you?
to our I'm just gonna put in a little plug here. We have our once a month, if you're in the Northwest, if you're in the Phoenix area, we have a meetup, a free meetup in the Northwest once a month. That's gonna be coming up next Thursday. Let me see, what's the date on that? I think it's the
23rd.
23rd. Yes, the 23rd. So we'll be back at Barrio Queen, Glendale on the 23rd from 5 to 7:30 or so. So you're welcome if you're in town to come and join us there. If you're not in town, that's okay. I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, so as I said, if you stick around, we're going to keep this to 40 minutes total. So I have a gift for you guys at the end if you stick around. And we're just trying to get an idea of what people are trying to do. Elizabeth, I know that you are a great connector and also a funder. And yeah, those are your roles, correct?
Yes, I am a PML lender and I work with a brokerage now to provide even more funding. And I'm also, I belong to Sub2 and Gator, and I'm actually looking for a couple of co-living properties here in Arizona and hopefully to get them Sub2.
Great. That's great. Well, to go back to what Scott had asked about, and in terms of commercial lenders, what we have is a list of brokers that we know have connected us to lenders who have been able to close stack method. We call it, I'm just gonna use the term stack method. It's Morby method, it's seller carryback. We call it a stack method. But we do have brokers who can connect us to lenders that will work with different kinds of deals. And just the very, very basic is the reason we call it a stack method is you're going to get a loan of some kind, an investor loan. That could be a DSCR loan. That could be a hard money loan if you're going to do a fix and flip with this. And then we're going to put a stack, a seller carryback note on top of that. So there'll be, two liabilities there. But the beauty of this is if the numbers work out, not only can you purchase a property for zero down, but you can also put some money in your pocket. Now, that being said, this is an advanced strategy, and some of you have a lot of experience, and some of you maybe are newer to this kind of creative deal. But either way, if you're a new person, I just want you to know that this is an advanced strategy, and if it was easy, then everybody would do it. Who doesn't want to buy a property for zero down and put money in their pocket, right? And so there is a process, and the biggest piece of that process is, as Scott mentioned, is finding the right lender who is okay with the process and whose criteria fits our process. And I could go more into that, in the future, but basically that's one of the biggest hurdles that people have to overcome is finding the right lender that's going to work with their particular asset and that's going to meet the requirements that our team has in terms of our being able to fund that down payment and closing costs for you. So as long as that comes together, that's when we can make this happen. Now, when it comes to commercial, if you're doing a commercial loan and we have the right kind of lender, I'm sure we can get that done. We have had people come to us and say, hey, can I purchase a business this way with zero down? The catch with that is most people who are purchasing a business are using I'm missing the business loan, right? They're using a business loan. Those business loans have a much stricter underwriting on them, and they don't usually allow any kind of second position, stack on top of that. They often require much longer seasoning of the funds and at minimum a 10% down. So that's why, buying commercial property, yes, buying a business, it might be a little bit more difficult to get the right lender for that. Okay. Well, let me just ask, and now that we're here, we're cruising. Does anybody have a potential deal that they're looking at? A potential stack method deal that they're looking at? Because we're here to help look at those numbers, maybe crunch the numbers with you, see if there is room to do a stack method. So
Doesn't look like it at this
doesn't
time.
sound like it.
That's
No,
okay.
that's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
That's one of the things we're going to want to do. Our plan is to be here each Wednesday at this time, and for you to bring your deals that we can look at them together and see if they make sense, or to answer questions and also go over various topics related to this so everybody can learn and we can all learn and grow together in terms of how this works and how we can make it work for our business.
And Tim,
yeah.
Rob did say he has an LOI on a car wash in Georgia.
Oh, okay. Good. That's great,
So
Rob.
Rob, if you can unmute.
Do you want us to crunch those numbers, or have you already crunched those numbers, Rob?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Have I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes. The current deal is I basically have till the 27th to perform or not perform, but he's being very patient. I've been negotiating with the seller since like January.
Okay.
And I got it for 4.8, and the bank is allowing me to assume the $3.4 million loan, and the owner is okay with that also. They explained that they would like to see, as they call it, seasoning for 4 or 5 months, showing me paying the note on that, and then they would just transfer it into my name. Now that leaves 1.48 left to close the deal, and that's where I'm at right now. That's the hard angle right now. I can bring 400,000 to the table right now,
right?
But it's trying to find that hard money or that bridge lender that's willing to finance that last 1.4. That's the tricky part where I'm at right now.
Gotcha. And that in this situation, the lender is saying they're allowing you to is the seller carrying back a portion of their proceeds on a note?
No, originally it was 5.5, and then I was coming, had to come up with 5, and he was going to do 500 seller carryback. But now we're down to just a straight 4.8 straight deal, and
I
I'm
see.
okay with
Okay.
that. But I mean,
Yeah.
so basically he needs like one. I think he wants 1.4 out of the deal, and then he's okay with the sell. Me just taking over the bank assumable loan at 3.4.
I see. So this sounds like it's more of a, not necessarily a Morby method or stack method. It's, you need to have some PML come to the table and help you finish out the rest of what you need to get this done, right? That's what.
Correct, and that's the tricky part, because I mean, not the tricky part, but I was even willing to go up to 12% on the PML, because the way the bank that's involved in this was with the SBA. I get the numbers messed up. What is it? An SBA 504 or 7?
Right.
There's a couple different ones, but they already said the same thing. Is they and the seller was against it because everybody's going to say, hey, they can do it in 45 or 60 days. And with the government shutdown, the more realistic I was told is 90 to 120, and he doesn't want to wait that long. But
Right.
the bank already said, once I get in, and as long as they see, as they call the seasoning thing, this number staying the same for the first 2-3 months, the same one with the that has the bank of civil loan said, we will start the process of getting you into an SBA. So then
Mhm.
that also can pay off, if I want to pay off the hard money person or whatever, I can be able to get them paid off within a year. And then I
Right.
just have one big loan,
Yeah.
which is perfect. But it's the problem is getting that PML. And that's why
Right.
I don't even mind paying a little extra play, because, to make it worthwhile for them, like a 12% deal, even I would do it. But that's the tricky part, finding that PML.
Yeah, and again, you're talking about an SBA loan, so there's not as much wiggle room on those, right? They're going to be a little more strict on what they want to do with that. And you're right, these things take longer. In fact, when it comes to just a regular, one of our stack method deals, one of the tips that we give our borrowers is when you're talking to your sellers, let them know this isn't going to be a quick close. Like it isn't going to be a 2 week or even 30 days, like a traditional close might be. Because you're acquiring a DSCR loan or a hard money loan, there's a little more underwriting, especially with the DSCR loans, there's a little more underwriting that they have to do before they can approve that. So we tell our borrowers, tell your seller, hey, this is you're going to get the price you want, you're going to get the terms we discussed, but it's going to be a 6 to 8 week process because we have to get the loan approved. And sometimes you jump through some hoops with your first lender, and then they say, well, we can't do that, and then you have to go and find a different lender. So again, knowing what questions to ask up front when you're trying to identify that lender is going to help you as well to streamline that process. And that's where we're coming to try to help give you guys those things up front so that you know what to ask and what direction to go. But Rob, I appreciate you sharing that, and I hope that you can find the PML that you need. I know Marcella has some good connections. I don't know if she's already.
Yeah, we've already talked. We've already
Perfect.
talked. Rob and I have already
Perfect.
talked.
Then
Yeah.
then that's great,
Yeah.
and I hope you get the funding that you need on that. I'm going to jump back in now to talking about what our process is, because our team has done over 100 of these stack methods, and at first we were doing them the way that I think maybe a lot of people have done these in the past, and that is find a title company who understands it well enough and do it all as one transaction. And that was problematic very early on because a lot of the title companies were confused. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how the money flowed. And some of them said, we can't do it this way. And so we have developed a process that we believe works more often than not, because we've separated out two different closes. Okay. And I'm just going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my little whiteboard here. Let's see. I can pick my, here we go. Open. All right. Let me know if you guys can see that. There's a lot of different people who are involved in one of these stack method deals. Of course, you have to have thank you. Appreciate that, Marcella. Of course, you have to have your seller over here, and they have to, number one, they have to be willing to carry back a portion of their proceeds, as well as have enough equity to carry back to cover the down payment closing costs and our fee. As long as those things apply, then you're good. Then of course you guys are the buyer, right? And so you need to get a DSCR loan. You have to get some kind of loan. Like I said, it could be a hard money loan, could be a DSCR loan, but you have to originate a new loan. And that's again one of the biggest pieces in this puzzle is finding the right lender to work with you. Oh, it did that thing again. Let me see if I can. Okay, I'm sorry. This is what happened. Oh, there we go. He likes to jump around. All right. So this is one of the things that we suggest or encourage our borrowers to do is to, instead of starting off with a signed contract from the seller, is again to separate out those two pieces, to separate out the first close from the attorney note. We want to start with an LOI. If you start with an LOI, then you know what you need to know to get started, and you can still negotiate the terms as you find out from the DSCR lender, what are they going to do loan to value? Are you going to get 70% loan to value? Or are you going to get 75? Or are you going to get 80? Those change the numbers in terms of the amount that the seller needs to carry back. So we start with a starting point with an LOI, and then once you have that, you can enlist the help of our TCs to begin to find that DSCR lender and structure the deal and work with the attorney to create the note so that all the pieces come together. But it's unlike other deals where you get a purchase sale agreement, everybody agrees, we're done. There's a lot more negotiation. There's a lot more moving pieces in this type of a deal. So that's where our process comes in. If you have an LOI signed by a seller and there's enough equity to carry back to cover all the down payment and closing costs, and we can begin to help you. What you would do is, number one is request stack method funding and submit that LOI with that request. And then once you do that, we'll send you an email right away. You would get approval from our team in terms of they'd look at the contract and say, okay, everything looks good, numbers look good. Here's what we do. We're going to send you over to our TCs, and the TCs are going to start working on this deal for you. Okay. At that point, once you have the approval, the TCs would jump in. Our TC team, they're a separate entity, but they charge $1,400 up front because they're going to start doing all the paperwork regardless of whether the deal, closes or not. We don't get any of that money. That's the TC. That's what they charge for helping this. But that does include just a lot of help with the process, right? Because it's a complicated process. The next thing you would do is set up a Relay bank account underneath your LLC. Why would we do that? Because that's how we're going to fund it. And I'm going to add another layer to that. What we have seen right now is that some of these DSCR lenders are looking for a holding LLC. They're looking for the money to go into a holding LLC first, and then from the holding LLC to go into the Relay account of the LLC that's purchasing the property. Why the extra step? That's because a lot of times these lenders are not keeping the loan. Just like when people buy a house with a traditional loan, they'll turn around and sell that loan to another person who's going to actually do the processing of that loan, right? The collection of that loan. So because these DSCR lenders are wanting to sell that loan off to somebody else, it has to be packaged in a way that is clean so that they can go ahead and sell that. So that's just an extra thing that we've learned in the last, I don't know, maybe the last 3 months. This is new, but some of the DSCR lenders are asking for that. So let's say we take and we deposit the, in this case, let's say you get a 70% loan to value from the DSCR lender, right? So that means you need to come up with 30% plus closing costs. And then that's going to go ahead and we're going to deposit that in the holding LLC, which gets transferred to the Relay account in the LLC, and that would get sent over to title. So at this point, you would have the DSCR lender and our 30% and the closing costs, and everything looks good right here. Now, the next step is the the seller has agreed to the terms of the note. So the attorney has drafted up that note, and the attorney is going to, let me see if I can get mine here. So the title company is going to go ahead and they are going to complete the transaction. They are going to send the deed over here to the buyer, okay? And then they are going to send a portion of the proceeds over here to the seller, okay? A portion of the proceeds goes to the seller. But then the rest of the money, because the seller has agreed in the contract or in the documents that we provide, that they're going to send a portion of their proceeds directly to our attorney. So that's how we get our money back, and that's how you get paid as the buyer. The money goes over here. So in this case, since we have a 30% down payment, this is probably going to be like 35% that the seller was willing to carry back on the note, and that 35% gets sent to the attorney. At that point, the attorney will send to us, they will send us back our down payment, closing costs, and fee, and then the attorney will send the rest of the money to the buyer. And that's how the buyer gets their money. It's not letting me do that. Okay. All right. So now, at that point, the attorney also then records the note and sends that note over to the seller. And so now the seller gets their, they get their money back over time on that note, whatever terms you've agreed upon. Okay. Okay. So that is how that's how the money flows. That's how it works. Again, we separate out the close at the title. According to the title, it's just a regular close. The DSCR lender is bringing their 70% and the buyer is bringing their 30% and closing costs, and that's it. And then the difference is that the title company will send that extra money over to the attorney, and then the attorney will divvy that out to the different parties in terms of what they get. Does
So I know,
anybody?
yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot of questions or a lot of information.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. So I was just going to say, who has questions right now? Does anybody have questions about how
Unmute
that
if you
flows?
want, or raise your
Yeah,
hand.
whatever you got.
Yeah, I got a question. Is that attorney state specific, or are you guys just picking somebody like in Arizona?
That is a great question. Our attorney can do these in all 50 states. And the reason why is because a note does not require him to have a brokerage because he's only recording the note. So our attorney has done and can do these in all 50 states because he's really just recording the note for the transaction.
Okay, so are those notes, are you guys doing it where it's a second position? Or are you doing it where the seller is in the LLC, purchasing LLC?
Scott, you have all the best questions. This is great. Yes, both. There's different ways to structure this. So depending on what the seller wants, we can do it as a second position note if the seller wants that, or we can do it as where they sign on and become part of the LLC. So both of those strategies have been used and both of them work. It just depends on the seller and what they want.
So does your attorney draft that if the buyer or the seller is in my LLC as I'm purchasing it? Is your attorney drafting that, or am I getting another attorney?
That is a good question. I would have to ask specifics on that. My understanding is in that scenario, it's more about you doing your, redoing your operating agreement, right? That would be for you to do your operating agreement. So I will ask that. I'm going to put that down as a question. Does our attorney, so you're asking if the attorney would be willing to kind of rewrite your operating agreement to make it kosher for everybody. Is that correct?
Yeah, because obviously they have to have either a percentage or
Right.
and
Right.
yeah, I'm just not sure. It's probably like what, 4 or 5% or something like that. And then so that gives them rights. So if I get abducted by aliens, they can take the property back over.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I will. That's a great question. I'm putting that on my list here, and I will find that answer out, and we'll get back to you on that, Scott. That is a good question. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna find out
Oh.
for you. Okay?
Okay. The other issue that I'm trying to just think this through is I've talked to a couple people and they're like, the interest rate for the DSCR loan for storage, they're telling me 9 or 10%. And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous because a normal self-storage loan is like 6.5 right now.
Right.
Maybe it's 7 because of what's going on in the world. Let's just say it's 6.5. And if my cap rate's like a 7.5 or so, I can't pay 10%.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that I understand. I hear what you're saying, and I honestly, that's what we have heard too, is these DSCR loans typically run a little bit higher, because they understand that there's a little more risk because there's a second position there, and so they are looking at like 8, 9, 10%. Now, here's the saving grace on that. It all comes down to the terms that you negotiate with the seller. Imagine if you had the seller carry back 40%, okay? And you get a loan for, let's say you only get a loan for 65, right? So now, yes, you have a higher interest rate, but you're only paying back 65, and maybe you have terms with the seller where it's no payments for 6 months, and then it's zero interest payments for, the next 10 years, and then it's a balloon at the end. What I'm saying is the terms that you negotiate with that seller on that note is what makes it work in a lot of cases because it makes the numbers balance out if you can get the good terms with the seller.
but yeah, and I get that, but if I'm buying something at a 7 cap and if the interest rate's like 8.5, it's still
Yeah,
uncomfortable because
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm losing money every month versus, I mean, theoretically, I should be 200 basis points, or the loan should be 200 basis points below the cap rate. But
Mhm.
I mean, and that's a perfect world, but we're not in a perfect world.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, and that's I'm glad you brought that up. Just in all of these deals, the most important thing is to underwrite the entire thing because again, a DSCR lender is not loaning on the purchase price or the resale value. They're loaning on what that property can produce, right? And so that's one of the reasons why the underwriting is a little more strict. But because of that, you have to underwrite very carefully. You have to know, am I going to be able to cover the DSCR loan and am I going to be able to cover the terms of the note? And what if something goes wrong and I have to throw some money in there? Again, this is an advanced strategy, and if you don't have any money on the side, if you don't have some extra funds available for last minute things, then you probably shouldn't be doing this kind of strategy. Now, I'm not saying that for you, Scott. You've got a lot of experience, obviously, and you know how to underwrite these deals. But I'm saying that more for people who are new to creative strategies, especially this creative strategy. It's very important that you underwrite everything and that the numbers work out, that you can cover your debt.
But no, and I agree because yeah, because it's I don't want to have to hand the thing back. I mean, that's kind of
No,
defeats the purpose. But
absolutely not. And you lose money on that because you're upside down, and with closing fees and all, you end up losing money. So
right.
absolutely, underwriting on the front end is crucial. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, would
Um,
there be a way that I could talk to a couple of your mortgage guys just to get a ballpark of what? And I know they can't quote, "Hey, it's going to be this if tomorrow," but just get a ballpark.
I think we have at least one or two that Marcel and I have direct contact with that we could refer you to. Yes, Marcel is nodding her head. So we can put you in touch with a couple of the ones that we have direct contact with. But in
Okay.
terms of the ones that our TC team has, they kind of like, want to hold that list. That's kind of one of the perks of working with them is we'll give you that list that you can go through of people that we've closed deals with, right?
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't hurt. And you know what? Honestly, most of our borrowers who go through this process, they end up talking to several lenders before they find the right one because every deal is different. Every lender is different. The requirements are different on every deal. No two one of these stack method deals is alike. We've definitely seen that. It's every single one of them is unique. The way it pans out is unique. So even if you had a lender that said, yeah, I can do XYZ, they're going to say, but show me the property, show me the details, right? Because they're gonna look at each deal differently and separately because there's so many variables involved. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
for sure. Yeah.
Totally get it. Now, do you TCs, are they familiar with commercial real estate?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, we have done some commercial, our team has done some commercial deals, so they are familiar with commercial properties as well.
Okay, because I get the TCs that do the residential stuff. I
Right.
get that.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've sub two to whatever. But
Yeah.
but commercial, I mean, there's just more moving parts, and if they don't understand it, I probably can't teach them in order to
No,
do
I
it.
agree. I agree. You
Yeah.
definitely need somebody with some experience on that. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time. I just want to ask, and thank you, Scott. You asked great questions, and those, I'm sure those were
I'll
helpful
connect
for
you
everybody.
for sure. I'll
Yeah,
connect you, Scott. I'll
Marcella will
reach out.
connect you.
Mhm.
Cool.
Now, does anybody else have just a burning question or a question about what we've explained or talked about that I can help you with right now?
And if maybe you want to unshare your screen.
Yep, was gonna do that.
Hey, I want to pop beginning. So if you guys have another session, I'll join that one.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing that out, Rafael. I'm glad you're here. We're planning on doing another Zoom next Wednesday at the same time. So if you
Okay.
can jump in on that one, we're going to go through it again and you can catch it then. Also, I was going to say, if you have questions, if you have specific questions, or if you want me to run through a potential deal with you one-on-one, Marcella's going to put my Calendly link in the chat there, and you guys can feel free to book an appointment with me, and I'd be happy to talk through that with you on a individual Zoom. I'm more than happy to do that. We want to bring value and help you guys as much as we can and move the ball forward for all of you to be able to buy, properties at zero down.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries,
There
man.
you go, Rafael. It's right there in the chat. And anybody who wants to jump on
Yeah.
a one Zoom with us can do that.
Copy that link, save it somewhere, or just click on it and book a Zoom if you'd like. The other thing I was going to say is if you have more specific questions, again, Calendly link, or come back next week, or just reach out to us. We'd love to help answer your questions, and if we don't have the answers, we will find the answers. Like I'm going to find out for Scott if the attorney will rewrite the operating agreement on one of those particular type of structures for the stack method deal. That's a great question. All right.
And
Well,
I know
yeah.
Robert had a question that we won't have time to address this time, but Robert, I'll reach out to you about that. And we can talk a little bit more on the side. And then Chantel, I'll get back to you on that as well. Make sure you text me that same question about looking for a title company in Arizona, Nevada,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Florida. If
We
you
have
have
some good title companies
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah.
I just wanted to share with you that I did, like I said, if you were here at the beginning, I said I was going to give you guys a gift here at the end, and let me just show you what that is. Let's see here. Here we go. We have this stack method calculator. Now, this is not for the serious underwriting of a deal. You guys need to do your underwriting because every asset, oh wait, I didn't share yet. Every asset class is different in terms of underwriting, right? But this will give you the general, hey, do the numbers work out? Is there even room for a stack method? So you just put in the yellow cells here, you put in the asking price, how much the seller is willing to finance. These numbers are adjustable, obviously, closing costs and real estate commissions. And then what loan to value are you going to get? Let's just start with 70% as a rough number. And then we can see how much does the seller owe, right? That's a very important thing to know. If you don't know how much the seller owes, you don't want to be surprised at the end and find out they said they were going to carry back 210, but they owe 300. So they can only carry back, a much smaller amount, and that's not going to work. So once you put in those few numbers, it will give you a green light here if there's enough room for you to buy this property for zero down. I'm going to give you guys a copy of this, and then there's video instructions that walk you through this. You can click on that link right there. And if you are ready to submit your deal, like we talked about earlier, you can click on this link. It'll take you directly to our funding page. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys. Let me send that to you right now. I need to stop sharing.
And I'm just going to speak to Rafael. I know
Yeah.
I see you're still on here, Rafael. There is a recording that will go to your email. Is that on this one? Did you set it up that way, Tim, for the Zoom?
It might. I'm not sure if
Okay.
it should, but I don't know the Fathom if it's gonna send it to everybody or
Yeah,
not.
if not,
Usually it does, usually.
yeah, I was gonna say, we have, like, I have a Fathom recorder, he has a Fathom recorder on here. That should send each of you a recording of the Zoom for tonight. But let me know if you don't get it, just text me and I'll like send you mine. Okay, no problem.
If you click
Because,
on the link in the chat right there, that will take you to a place where you can copy that stack method calculator. That's our free gift to you tonight for coming out here and being here.
perfect.
And if you have questions about that, again, we'd be happy to answer that, but there is a video that explains how to use it.
Yeah.
And again, it's not for underwriting your deal. You're going to have to do that on your own, but this will tell you whether or not the basic numbers work out. Could this be a stack method? It's
Mhm.
more of a general calculator for that. So
Perfect.
yeah,
And just a reminder, there is the Calendly link up above as well. I did post it in the chat. If anybody wants more time just to jump on a call with us, you have more questions. Scott, I will connect you to a few of the other lenders that we know. So I'll be reaching out. And thank you all for being here. And as we continue to, I'll reach out to you, Rob, as well. And then as we continue to go through a weekly, Zoom with you all, obviously, bring your deals, bring your numbers, whatever you have that you want to talk about, whatever
bring your
questions you have.
questions and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have
you,
a great night.
guys.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
You guys,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Bye, Raphael. Bye, Chantel.